Welcome to the Garden of the Black Roses. You'll probably hear my phone go off in the background. It's Discord. I had already ruined one recording because it kept going bloop. Anyway, this is a fanfiction recording. So, another Yu-Gi-Oh fanfiction, Natural Reality, Arc 1, Chapter 1. Crimson eyes opened up only to quickly close again, shutting out the morning light. The usual warmth he had become accustomed to was missing. "Aibo?" he called through his link to his other half. Faintly he could hear the shower running. Getting up, he walked to the bathroom and peeked in. He watched the small teen through the frosted glass. His hair, which normally defied gravity, was now cascading as a black waterfall passed his shoulders. He held his hands up to his collarbone, eyes closed, as if in praise to the water tumbling down his small frame. A young voice responded to his call, unaware that the older was now watching him. "What is it, Yami?" He could feel contentment through their bond, but something felt off, something that Yami couldn't put his finger on. "I woke up without you there," he replied, knowing his voice contained the same tone as their conversation the previous night. "I was afraid you would reject me again this morning." He could hear him audibly sigh. "We were apart for too long, little one." Flashback. He pushed his hikari down on the bed. He needed him to listen. Being like this had pushed him past his breaking point. "Yami." He could feel his little hikari's body trembling under his own, despite his mental voice sounding strong. He pulled his hikari's hands from where they were pushed against his chest, and held them by the wrists against the bed on either side of his shoulders. "Yami." His hikari was starting to sound angry, but the emotions relayed pain and fear. He brought his lips down, kissing them forcefully. I can't keep waiting for you to tell me what is wrong." "Can you control yourself if I tell you?" his hikari challenged. "I can't root out the traitors in our precinct if you can't." He broke the kiss and looked down at his hikari, confused. "Explain." "Only if you let go." His audible voice was also challenging. Yami released his hold on his hikari's wrists and propped himself up with his arms instead. "Not gonna get off me?" Yami shook his head. He was willing to only let go of him partially. His hikari gave an exasperated sigh. "There is a traitor in the school who is preying on the weak. To get them all, I have been..." Yami didn't like the pause. Usually that meant his little one was trying to make the situation sound less than it was. "Monitoring the situation personally." End of flashback. "No, Yami." He turned off the water and stepped out of the shower. "You showed me that leaving you too long makes you difficult." His amethyst eyes glared at the morning audience before firmly shutting the bathroom door. "I had no choice, Yugi," Yami replied with a hurt tone. "I could feel you hurting. I'm sure that was only the tip of what you were holding back. Someone or something was hurting my hikari, and I needed to know what." "I can handle things on my own, Yami." He sounded annoyed. "Remember, you and I rule Domino City, my darkness. You manage the Mirror City in the Shadow Realm, where the beasts dwell, and I manage the humans in this realm." "I know, Aibo." He sounded almost stubborn to Yugi. "Please make sure you call me if you get hurt." I will, my love. Yugi could feel relief through their link. That I can promise you. Yugi sat with his friends at lunch. His role as ruler of Domino City was hidden even from them, and that is exactly how he liked it. "What you thinkin', Yug?" The blonde Yugi fondly knew as Joey asked. "You seem out of it today." "I bet I know what it is," the girl named Tia teased. "Yami is behind that faraway look." Yugi blushed in spite of himself. "I knew it!" "Another argument?" the last young man in their group named Tristan asked. "You two seem to be doing that a lot lately." "Overprotective," Yugi murmured. His friends looked at each other for a moment and then burst into fits of laughter. Yugi looked startled. "What?" "He has always been that way ever since Duelist Kingdom," Tia said, wiping away tears. "He can't help it. He is literally your other half." Yugi blushed, but didn't care to respond to it, knowing that they would laugh further. School went quickly after this. It wasn't until the bell rang that Yugi began to tense. He knew his duties were now to begin. "Are you ready, Sacrifice?" a voice hissed in his ear. "Tonight is the night. Come alone, or I'll find another helpless soul to use." Yugi mentally rolled his eyes. "I'm anything but helpless, shadow-cursed." He reached out along his link. "Yami." "What is it, Aibo?" "Can you come to school? I need your assistance. But follow what I say or we won't get them all." "I'm coming." Yami watched from a distance at the request of Yugi, his anger spiking frequently as he watched. It took Yugi's constant reminder and reassurance to keep him at bay. Yugi yelped as he was thrown into the small stone amphitheater the school used for clubs and performances. He came to a stop against a stone table with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs engraved around the sides. Yami recognized it as a sacrificial altar used before his time to sacrifice slaves to Ra, so he would bring forth the sun. What do they plan to call forth with that? Yugi's scream brought him out of his curiosity. "Aibo!" "Wait, Yami." Yugi's voice was strained. The pain of being beaten reverberated through their link. "They aren't all here. I don't want the humans to be affected by the shadow-cursed." Shadow-cursed. Yami suddenly realized the importance of getting them all. Shadow-cursed humans spread from contact with a delinquent monster from the Shadow Realm, or from another Yami causing trouble in their borders. "I think Bakura is causing trouble again for us." He felt Yugi nod mentally. "Ryo warned me his Yami was up to something. He didn't want me to tell you yet." "Yugi." Then the Shadow Cursed appeared. They threatened the lives of those who are like I was. I pretended to be the same, and they said that I was the perfect sacrifice. I've been beaten daily, almost daily, in their attempts to make me submissive. "Yugi, why?" "I needed them all to prevent further infection to susceptible humans." Yami felt his voice waver in pain as they pulled him taut over the table. "We need to get them all, my love." Yugi sensed the darkness becoming whole around him. The last piece made his entrance with an ornate ivory blade. They are all here now. Yugi felt pain from the link. Yami? Look who we found! Two of the humans dragged Yami into the amphitheater and threw him against the table. It looks like we have a hikari sacrifice. Yami! Yugi cried, now very fearful of the situation. Yami! My sweet hikari. Yami's voice was very strong in his mind. Pretend to be afraid for me. I allowed this to happen. He felt pain, fresh and sharp, flow through their link. Yugi screamed as the blade followed the length of his forearm. His blood spilled over the edge of the table, some dripping onto Yami's forehead. Yami, I can't pretend anymore. He could feel Yami's power envelop the area and sealing everyone within. Yami! Aibo. Yami stood slowly. The eye of the Sennen puzzle glowed brightly on his forehead. You creatures of the lowest order, how dare you harm my hikari? His shadow sliced through the air, dragging the shadow-cursed souls into the shadow realm. The shadow-cursed screamed and ran, their hands pounding on Yami's barrier before being dragged away. Only one didn't move. Yugi's scream drew Yami's attention behind him to the albino that was now perched on the table, his blade gently attempting to widen the cuts. Bakura, Yami hissed. You knew all along my hikari was your sacrifice. He threw the Yami back with his shadows. You purposefully used your hikari to lure my hikari here. You did the same to me first, spat Bakura, as he picked himself up off the floor. There were shadow cursed in our precinct who injured Ryo. They claimed to be sent by you. Yami didn't do that, Yugi whispered faintly. He felt betrayed by Ryo. Ryo and I are friends. I wouldn't agree to such a thing to happen. Yami wouldn't hurt me intentionally. Bakura stared at the little hikari. It wasn't in their nature to lie outright. They were the masters of truth. What is said by hikari may not always be what you think you heard. But there was no mistaking what this little hikari had said. It gave him pause. Who then lured his hikari into so much pain that he was still feeling the reverberations through their link whenever his hikari dreamed or remembered? Yami watched Bakura thoughtfully. Someone or something hurt his hikari and blamed it on a Yami he knew. Perhaps there was a bigger plot unfolding than he first thought. Bakura, Yami said, releasing his shadows. Perhaps a meeting of Yamis is needed. He used the last of his shadows to slice through the ropes that held Yugi, painfully aware that his hikari needed medical attention. At my palace, Bakura Semi offered. We need to get to the bottom of this. He watched Yami pick Yugi up. Once your hikari has been tended to. Tomorrow night, Yami said gratefully that Yugi was unconscious. With or without a hikaris? With, Bakura replied. We won't believe each other otherwise. Yami nodded and left Bakura alone to his thoughts. And that's it for that chapter. I had to put my phone on silent. But yeah. Another interesting story. But it was another one that I've written a long time ago. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be another chapter of this fan fiction. And as always, let your imagination grow wild. Bye for now.